Sup everybody, welcome to another video, and today we're going to be talking about why Ayato, think about it like this. I want to say it's almost impossible to mess this character up, but HoYoverse will always find a way to just make him a little more difficult to perform well at C0 and with free-to-play weapons. I'm not going to say he's going to be bad, but just expect to see people hitting huge damage or making him feel god tier while you're stuck with a version of Ayato that is functional but definitely problematic in certain ways, and that's just to be expected of when we see a new 5-star character nowadays. Of course, he should be better than his 4-star counterpart, or at least on par with them when they're around C6, which, it's only fair. But looking at a character like Ayato, why is he so sought after? And I can assure you it's not simply because it's just simping, because there's a ton of good looking simp worthy characters in this game, but there's just something about Ayato. If you truly dig a little deeper into this character, you'll quickly see why it's in most people's best interest to pick him up. And with that said, my name is EroticWalruss. I do videos like this all the time on my channel, so like, subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. I stream Wednesdays, Saturdays right here on YouTube. So let's talk about Ayato. The first thing everybody should know is that he's Hydro, and that it is basically saying he's already god tier, because Hydro characters are the centerpieces of some of the best reactions in the game. And let's just name a couple off right here: Freeze, Vaporize, and the only damage-oriented Electro build that is somewhat meta and played, Electro Charge. So just these three elemental reaction, just disregarding Ayato's damage scaling and whatnot in his playstyle, his specific role, any of that, just the access to these three reactions will guarantee a character's usage rate on teams. So what I'm basically saying is he can be paired with so many different characters potentially, right? I'm not saying all cryo characters are going to be flawless with them in a freeze team. I'm not saying all pyro characters suddenly will just work without a problem with Ayato. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the potential of utilizing some of the best units in the game as well with Ayato just elevates his potential in the game even further. So a good example is someone like Xiangling. You would imagine Xiangling's pyro application off-field can gel very well with someone like Ayato. Then again, right, I don't look at leaks, so I don't know what this character specifically does, but it doesn't really matter what he does as long as he is an on-field carry type character. He can utilize Xiangling to great efficiencies, right? Think about Tartaglia. But at the same time, I don't think it's fair for HoYoverse to release a character that can do kind of like what Tartaglia does, but without any drawbacks. And if Ayato is going to be a Hydro-oriented on-field DPS that can stay on the field for an extended period of time without drawbacks, there has to be some sort of way HoYoverse tweaks the kit a little bit. Maybe they themselves aren't as proficient at dealing damage and is more reliant on reactions to deal damage, right? Just things like this. Talking about Freeze, is there going to be a potential playstyle with Ayaka? Because for canonical reasons, people all think, well, Ayaka should work well with Ayato, right? And that may be the case, but you got to understand Ayaka is a character that has the highest amount of cryo application when she is off field, or else Ayato is going to have to be some sort of upgrade towards a character like Shinchu, which then would mean he's an off field character. But then that would mean that working with Xiangling and Ayato might be a little more problematic than we think, right? It's one or the other for most of these cases. However, if Ayato is an on-field Hydro character, then a character like a Ganyu would fit Ayato a lot better than Ayaka would, which for the people who are hoping that Ayaka and Ayato can have great synergy, the copium bubble might be bursted a little bit. At the same time, you have to realize that no matter what we do, Ayato should have access to great Vaporize teams as well as great Freeze teams, and on top of that, even Electro Charge teams with someone like Beidou or Fischl, right? So a character like Ayato could be monumental to free-to-plays or newer players or low spenders who get one character on their team which can connect all the different pieces that they currently have sprawled all over the place. Prior to someone like Ayato, Kokomi is a character that I've always looked to round out my freeze teams with a healer in them. But now looking at Ayato being a potential on-field DPS or maybe even an off-field DPS, I can further round out a lot of teams, and I think this is one of the reasons why miHoYo has been very hesitant to releasing Hydro-based characters. It's because they provide too much value, and every time one comes out, they have to be extremely careful as to not overtune them. For the case of Kokomi, they tried really hard to make her not very viable as a main DPS, and even still people managed to make it work. You don't give her crit rate, we won't work with crit rate, right? And now Ayato potentially will fill multiple roles, being a main DPS and also a great Hydro applicator, but at the same time, he can't heal, and that's going to be a more difficult thing to bypass as opposed to what Kokomi had to deal with, right? Kokomi, if you want her to deal damage, she could still do damage. But if you want Ayato to heal, well, good luck with that. But my case with the Hydro characters is that whenever one comes around, they end up being incredibly important in team building and structures, and oftentimes teams just won't work without them, and I truly think that it's going to be the same for Ayato. Is this me telling you guys drop everything and pull for Ayato? No, of course not. As always, you have to look at your account, reevaluate what it is that you are emphasizing. If you currently need a main DPS to hyper carry and pour all your resources into, I'm just gonna say it, Raiden Shogun is still a good option to build as a hyper carry. If you're looking for diversity and building freeze teams, and Ayaka is seemingly on the horizon with the live stream tomorrow, then maybe go for Ayaka, right? With Xingqiu and Ayaka, you get a great freeze team. Ayato, I'm gonna say, is really for people who have invested into a bunch of different characters and are finding difficulties in making them gel together. Oftentimes you'll find the Hydro characters can find ways to work with almost any character you have. If you're currently a Fischl main, you can work with it as well. If you're currently a Ganyu main, you can work with it as well. If you're currently a Raiden main, I can see you working with it as well. Now, I'm not gonna go as far to say copium wise, Ayato is gonna work extremely well with someone like Yoimiya, because I don't know his kit. If he's an off-field Hydro applicator, there is potential there, of course, but I'm not gonna hold my breath because I think currently Yoimiya already works decently well with someone like Xingqiu, and there's really no need for Hoyoverse to pump more power into a character that facilitates off-field Hydro application and damage in a way that Xingqiu does. I think Ayato should definitely be an on-field dedicated DPS, so we can fit him with characters like Xiangling, like Ganyu, like Beidou, Fischl, and stuff like that to round out certain Hydro-centric teams. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see what we can do with them, and I'm going to be definitely covering all of this in tomorrow's live stream for patch 2.6, where I'm also going to be giving away either a Raiden, Kokomi, or whoever comes first next patch of your choice if you do happen to win. So hope to see you guys all there tomorrow. Until then, urge y'all to stay safe and peace.